So I'll pass on that recording for you guys later. Okay, so whenever you do the /admin, you'll be automatically delivered to the workflow task portlet where you'll see all of your jobs. Whenever you're assigned a workflow task, you're also given an email. The email has a link that'll bring you to the workflow task itself. You can filter I have more filtering than a normal content publisher, so do you, because you're logged in as the same administrative user. But administrators can actually filter by which user, which role-based role in the system, group of users, how many days old the task is, what workflow scheme, if it's component, default, document management, or whatever other custom workflow scheme that you create, the steps in the workflow scheme. So if I went to document management, then that would automatically load all of the steps, and I could see any of the tasks at any of the individual steps. Obviously, I created one kind of step here that is a garbage step at the end, just for an example, for something prior, and search for the tasks in each step. Okay, and then whenever you go into the task, then you start editing the content or editing the task, adding comments on the task, adding documents to the task. We'll go over that later in the workflow. There's also a dashboard that's kind of like a mini Google Analytics. You have to have enough clickstream data for it to actually show the dashboard. But that's, if you have Google Analytics, no reason to use it at all. But for a smaller, maybe community user or something like that, there's a quick dashboard to show some analytics on the site. Then moving down here, closing that home tab, is the site browser, which we're going to begin work in just a minute. And this is the main file tree where you would manage all pages that you create for the presentation layer in .cms. You'd upload files, create folders, permission, the access that people have over those different portions of the site. Mark individual items, whether they should appear in the main navigation or not, etc., etc. And we'll start our work here. But let me keep going over kind of what all of the basic features do and are for. Here is a links tab here that if we look at one pagers, this is a vanity URL. So it shows that for one pagers, you can just go to /Bear Mountain and automatically get that link as an external link. Why did they put it as an external link? Not sure why that one is. Whoever put that in as external, even though it's internal. Not sure why that person put that there. Let's see, blogs. That's blogs. Oh, that's why. Okay, so our vanity. Okay, so where does this live? Okay, all right. Sorry, every once in a while I get confused between the links and the vanity menu links and the vanity URLs. Okay, so these menu links will allow a link to exist as a local show on menu item, even though it doesn't exist in a certain directory. So if we went to the resources section, the blog's index page does not exist inside of resources. But if I go to browser and I go to this resources directory, you see how this resources directory is here and the blogs directory is over here. If I go to resources and I go to, I think the index page should probably pick it up. Where is blogs? I don't see. So what page is picking that up? Where is that being used? Documents. I don't see that that's being used. Okay. Well, let's do this. Here is that menu link. I'm going to copy it, put it over here on, oh no, that doesn't use Let me show you a place where it has a side nav, which would be About Us. Paste. Okay, now I can go to index. No, About Us doesn't. Where is it? Services. There we go. There's a area that has it. Copy and services. Paste. It should be active. Now we can go to one of these guys. Right. It should be appearing here on the left-hand nav, but let me see why it is not. Services, blog, edit. It is show on menu, same window. Let me put internal link here. And browse to blogs. Looks like whoever did that didn't do a very good job on creating that menu link. And now if we go to services, retirees, there we go. Okay. So sorry, I was fighting with some bad starter data there. But so in the browser, right, the services directory has these pages: retirees, global investors, wealth managers, and first-time investors. Any page that we create inside of .cms, if we look at the page properties, it has this show on menu here that'll automatically include it if there's a template that is actually calling a subnav. And you can see these, these subnav items. Here's first-time investors, retirees, global investors, wealth managers. They all exist locally and have the checkbox show on menu, otherwise they wouldn't be pulling here in this list. And I can grab those items and rearrange them anytime that I want. Put these guys first, put this guy last, whatever. And then here is an item that is not in the local directory, right? And it's called blog. And, we just put it there as a menu link. So that's what menu links are, is they allow items to appear on inside of wherever you're pulling the navigations dynamically, whether it's up at the top here or whether it's down here, so that they display in an area even that they don't even exist in. Okay, and if we clicked on blog, then it goes to blogs, right? So that's what this little link manager does. It manages whether they're internal, whether they're external. I just copied and pasted into a couple of different directories trying to show that. So that's the menu link manager. And you can connect inside, externally to files, etc. Templates. There's a template manager here where you can create both advanced template that is an all code template that I'll show you later in Web Developer, or you can create a template designer template. We're going to create template designer templates today, where you're just kind of using the options in the template designer, which may or may not fill all your needs. You may use the template designer and advanced templates and do kind of use themes and hybrids, using theme files, etc., etc. There's a container manager. Now, containers inside of .cms are the formatters of content. The templates are merely laying out where things will appear whenever your page is rendered. So containers do the actual formatting. So if we take a look in here, you can choose any content type and then customize the way that content type should look whenever it's actually placed on a page. It can be something complicated, or it can be something really, really simple, like generic content only has one field that's showing it's the WYSIWYG field and that's it. Or you could do something really cool and pull personalize the content and, all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's there for you to make the content look whenever the content contributor clicks publish. It's exactly the formatting. They don't need to worry about styling at all. That's what the container kind of does. There's a time machine. So if I want to snapshot the site the same way that if you go way back time machine, it's just like that. And I want to look at a site, what Amazon.com looked like, 10 year, 8 years ago, whatever. And that it's got a static HTML backup is what it does. So, it tunnels through the site and backs up the static HTML. That's exactly what our time machine does too, whenever you take a past snapshot. However, the future is more dynamic and cool code-wise. It will actually take time-sensitive content, which you have to configure. We don't automatically publish and unpublish content automatically. You have to configure that on the content type and say, I want these certain fields on this certain content type to control content publishing on an automated basis. And then you can look into the future and say, okay, I have a promotion and a new product set to appear for December of 2018. So right now, even though that content's not published right now, I want to look in November and see if we're going to start promoting that December product. And so you'll be able to, fast forward into the future and then see that time sensitive content be published on those dates and then unpublished as soon as the promotion's over, or whatever type of content. It could be events, it could be whatever. So we'll take a look at that more in depth later. The push publishing queue, how you can push publish between dynamic servers. So if you have multiple dynamic servers, we have a staging server for .cms content that goes to .cms.com, and then we have a production server that once we push publish, then it's live. You can also push publish over to static static HTML. So if your production site, you wanted to make sure nobody could log in, .cms doesn't exist on that server, there's no apps whatsoever. It's only static HTML. There are some government institutions, there's some banking institutions that require that. Then you just use push publishing, you use our static HTML push option, and then you have a very, very light, no app front end production server. So either of those types of push publishing methodologies we'll cover, and that's managed from the push publishing queue and push publishing bundles and a whole lot of other stuff. The content tab, this is where you're managing every piece of content of every type. There's tons of different content types, and we'll discuss what all these symbols are and what's the difference between all of them. A lot to cover there, and how you manage content, or whether you search for all content or you do an advanced search based upon a certain content type, and then you see the rest of the fields that you can filter by. Right? And all of the different options for publishing, unpublishing content, importing content, etc., etc. There's an event calendar that we'll cover briefly that is kind of like a Google Calendar where you can add a single event, you can add multiple events, edit recurring events, see a day, week, or month view, etc. Okay. A link checker. The link checker checks bad links. So there's an internal methodology here where you can manually choose content types, or you can do it via workflow. Under the marketing tab, there is a rules engine that controls the customized behavior that whenever someone hits a trigger on your site, like they click on a link, or if they're browsing from a certain type of operating system or from a mobile device or something like that, you can set up rules and triggers that automatically target them with a certain type of content. So we'll look at that rules engine and how you can customize that for custom content delivery based upon the audience that you want to identify as a target audience, and make the content that appears to them as relevant as possible. Vanity URLs. If you have a shortened path that you want to be able to reach, or you have a campaign name and you want a very long URL to actually be a really short URL, and you want it to maintain in the browser once it's hit and not redirect, then Vanity URLs will help you do that. You can create forms just by clicking on Add New Form, and it ends up being just like another content type, and you edit that content type, and you can just edit like fields on a form, and then you place it on a page and the form's already created, no code. Or you can use REST API forms, which I strongly recommend. That's definitely the way to go, especially for your type of implementation. Content types, it just gives you full code control over the form, which you, I think, want. The form creator is really for people who don't know how to do HTML or JavaScript. Content types, this is what we're going to start working with immediately. How do you create all of the different content types, pages, persona content types, vanity URLs, key values, content, etc. So we're going to be managing those content types in just a minute. On those content types, you can have category fields. So we're going to create a custom category that goes with a certain content type that we're about to create. And this is one of your taxonomies that is webmaster defined. Okay, and the webmaster would predetermine all of the options that you're going to see whenever you click on exam resources or event types. What are your subcategory options for choices? Tags, a tag field allows your content publishers to basically create the tags and the keyword search terms on the content on the fly as they go, but there's some management so they can see what's already in the system and get suggested tags and all of that good stuff. There's a tag repository so you can share tags across hosts, etc. Workflow, this is where we're going to create a custom workflow, apply it to a content type, and see what the results are as far as click options for saving, publishing content using that custom workflow. Languages, if you need to manage multilingual content, you can add as many languages as you wish and manage that here. Okay. Dev tools. There's an OSGI plugin manager that you can upload. Let's say you want a new workflow sub-action. We actually have starter plugins and we have one for workflow actions, since it's very common that people add their own custom workflow actions to workflow. And you can upload it without actually even stopping .cms, upload it, and then instantly go to your workflow manager and see the new workflow sub-action. So this is our OSGI plugin manager. There's a query tool, which you can do Lucene queries of the content repo. There's an Elasticsearch tool, so you can do Elasticsearch style formatted queries for the content repo. Both of them, the only search manager, the only tool we use to index and search our content repo is Elasticsearch. Although Elasticsearch has a Lucene parameter, allows you to feed Lucene queries in, and then it basically translates that into an Elasticsearch query and then searches the repo. So you can do either, and you can test either format. There is a site search tool, so you can actually take different portions of your site and create a different site search for each of them. I just created a developer wiki on our staging site. This is our staging site. Well, I don't want to log in. Just want to look at the front end. Authoring.cms.com. This is where we're working on the next version of .cms.com. And if I logged in on the back end, you would see here under documentation and online sources and videos, there is only to the back end login, there is a dev wiki. So I just built that for the dev team so they can go ahead and search their internal documents. And it has its own search. So if we go here to this, and hopefully nobody just erased it because I see a new template there. So here is our developer wiki and index. And you see this little dev wiki here. Let me see. And this index searches this little dev wiki. Here they've just started building some content for our internal devs. And if you did that search, it's, there's a different search for DevWiki, a different search for documentation, different search for CodeShare, different search. Well, the user form is its own thing with Google. But these three are independent site search that only search the portion of, like if I click on one of these DevWiki articles, see they're just in the process of creating the content just now. They're just putting those as placeholders. The path to that, if we look at what that actual address is, you can see it's devwiki.connect. So what I basically do is under each one of these using the site searches, I only site search and include content that has a path that includes devwiki, right? And then I've got a very fast Elasticsearch that's already created and managed here, and hopefully nobody broke. So if I search for commit, I know that's one MA. And I did search, then I get commit listeners, right? And I don't get anything else on the rest of the site. And where I set that up and managed it, of course, is in the site search index, which I'll show you how to use and set up your own custom searches for any portion of your site or your entire site. That's what the site search helps you set up. Under system and users is a user manager, and we're going to, in our last day, there's a big hour and a half, 2-hour training on how to set up users and how to set up roles. Our roles are very granular. You can do whatever you want with certain user roles. You can create new user roles. You can nest user roles one underneath the other so that they pass permissions to each other via inheritance. So I'll show you everything, down to saying which tools they have access to, etc. Very granular user and role-based permissions. The maintenance portlet we'll take a look at, where you can look at all your caches and manage and flush all of your caches. You can create a new index for all of your content for all of the websites that you manage. You can, under the tools, there's search and replace, fix asset, drop old asset versions, do some cleanup. Push publish assets history, how you can go do some cleanup there. Log files, so if I wanted to tail the .cms log on the server we're on right now, I can tail the log and see if there's any errors with any new things I'm building and help, kind of do some troubleshooting. Take a look at system info. It tells me everything about this installation, all here from the back end without having to do a Linux command line to be able to see those things. If I need to do a thread dump, I can reload the threads, get a thread dump from my server, see how resources are being utilized. Oh, it was just resolving and then I clicked on it. So get a thread dump. My logged in users, I can see all of you. And the IP address, obviously, you're all shared IP address. You guys are the .11, and David Gill, who is one of our new sales engineers, he's kind of listening in on the line, and myself. And you can tell which one is me because I'm the only one. I can't invalidate myself, that's a nice built-in security feature. So please don't invalidate me from your own login. Configuration, where you can manage licensing, the basic backend look and feel, and change the coloring, and do kind of your own branding there on the back end. Your licensing information, network. So if you're clustered nodes, you can do status checks and look at every node in your cluster. Come up and join the cluster or not, and do some diagnosis there. And push publishing environments, how you can set them up so that you can push publish to one or more servers, dynamic servers, static servers, and manage all of that. So that is a lot of different features on the back end we're going to cover, and that's a basic overview of everything here on the back end. So tons and tons, with 2.5 million lines of code. So there's a lot of features. Let me just, another thing real brief before we start up, I want to just cover what is a page in .cms. Let me just look at this very, very simple training homepage, and then we're going to dig right in. Okay, so what is a page? All right, I created this little training home page really, really quickly. If I look at page properties, this is a page. That's it. It doesn't have content on it. It doesn't have anything. It's just a few properties, okay? It's a training home, a URL. It exists in a folder, and it chooses a template. Now that's your key to the rest of the jigsaw puzzle right there. Which template are you choosing? The template then parses containers. The containers then parse content, and all of it comes together on the fly in a fraction of a second, right? It's got a friendly name, whether it's showing menu or not, sort order, whether it has its own static cache, a redirect URL if your page is no longer kind of valid, some SEO, keywords, description, metadata, and canonical URL. And that's pretty much it. You can have rules that are assigned in the rules engine to one particular page or site-wide. You've got some permissions and a history of who's touched the page and changed it. And that's it. That's all of a page is. Now, whenever a page connects to a template, and let me click cancel on the page editing, and from the page, I can click on Edit Template and see what the template does. Now, this is a template designer template. So it has, you can add rows and columns and manage everything through the GUI. But the template just lays out, does it have a header? Does it have a footer? And it's just laying out how the page is going to come together. But it also has no content on it unless you have, something written right into the code on the container inside of an advanced container. But just parsing a bunch of ETL files, a bunch of code files or containers, right? And that's it. So there's really not much to a template either. We do have some examples of advanced templates I'll show you later that have some code right in there. Then how does the container that's being parsed here on the page, how does that link up to the content? Well, once again, I edit the container from the page, and I can see I've got a div here to start it off, and then I've got all of these different choices for different types of content. I've got media, blog, news, generic content. So if I clicked on generic content, there's just that one field that's being shown. Events, how do they get formatted? And different fields being exposed for different pieces of content. Maybe it's just showing me a listing. Maybe it's doing velocity binary, anything that you want as a webmaster to do whenever somebody tries to place that type of content. And if I click add content here and I go to new content, it gives me a choice. Which one of those do you want to contribute? If I say generic content, then I can create a new piece of generic content, or if I want to get rid of this .cms content architect training here, let me just get rid of it real quick. I can reuse content that already exists. Now, whenever I delinked it, all I did was delink it from the page. I didn't get rid of it. So I can choose that content again. Just click search. There's the welcome to training message. It's pulling by the latest created, and now my content's back. So your content is really, it exists in the repo. It doesn't exist on any one particular page. It's merely linked to your pages, right? And that way, if this same content exists on 100 different pages, I edit it once from the content search manager, or I edit it on the page, and then it changes in all of those places. If I want to look at the content and I want to see all of the pages that this piece of content exists on, I click on references and it tells me which page it actually exists on. If I had this on multiple pages, it would list all of them, right? So the page calls a template. The template lays out the page, whether it's got a header, a footer, a main body page, a side column, side nav, whatever it has, and then it parses those containers. The containers format the way that the content's going to appear whenever a content publisher publishes it. Then the content publisher uses the containers by clicking on add content. Obviously, there shouldn't be any add content containers in the header or the footer normally, right? And then reuses content, adds new content of that content type, or possibly, if they have permissions, add widget or add form. And then all of that comes together on the fly whenever a page is rendered in .cms. Okay, so that's a very long-winded overview of the backend features we're going to cover and kind of what is a page inside of .cms. Okay, and then we're going to get more in depth into this. This is a one-page app type of application, .cms. So you'll notice even while I'm browsing a page, if I wanted to go to the content search manager, I just click on it, and this left-hand menu always stays there, right? If I go back to site browser and I open up my training page, you'll see that you can collapse that left-hand side. You can collapse this right-hand side to kind of expand the views, but you can always navigate over here on the left-hand side to any other area of the site. All right, so kind of one-page app mentality, and this is using Angular here on the back end. All right, so now, after kind of the explanation of the biggest, largest concepts, now we're going to do the hands-on so you guys can, I don't put you to sleep further, and let's go ahead and dig into the site browser. Go to the training directory and let's add a folder of your own name here. Okay. Everybody ready? Do a little hands-on. Stop listening to me talk only. All right. Let's go ahead and right-click on the training directory under Site and Browser. Click New Folder. And I want you to put your first name, and I don't think anybody has the same first name in the room that I heard so far, but just go ahead and put your last initial just in case. Click Show on Menu for this folder. That's it. So first name, last initial, Show on Menu, and don't worry about this for right now, and just click Save. Okay. And let me refresh. All right. Looks like we've got some folders going in there now. Okay. So the next thing I want you to do is I've got a home page here myself, but I want you to add one of your own. So right-click on your named folder that you just created, click New, and Page. We already added a folder. Now we're adding a page. Then we'll add images. We'll add multiple images. Then we'll add menu links, etc., etc. And we'll go one by one down the site browser options. Okay, so once again, right-click your folder, New, and Page. Leave it as page asset, but notice that you could actually create a landing page as well, which is a different type of page asset. So you can create different page content types that have different properties of a page. See, like here, this page doesn't have its own social networking links, but if I wanted a new page content type that allowed me on a page-by-page basis to put a different Twitter and a different Facebook and a different, whatever, I could, and add those new properties to the page content type. Okay. So for this page, let's just go ahead and put, I'm just going to call it Dean's homepage. And then I'm going to let the URL automatically build itself just by clicking anywhere else. And the template, let's go ahead and do, just type the number 2 and choose the bottom option because I want to be able to side nav to your pages at any time. So just type the number 2 in template and then choose the last option, which is 2 column with side nav. Gives us a little preview. And try to make sure you get that cache time to live. Let's not get any false negatives there. And put 0 there for the cache time to live. Let's see. Do we want show in menu? No, because we already have it on the folders. Okay. And save and publish. And then we should be looking at this. Adam, how we doing? Is everybody good and has a page that looks like this? I think you're muted still.
And I think we're doing all right. There's a few people who have messed up, but give me 2 seconds. I just sort it out.
Okay.
It's just the menu's missing. What template did you use, Sam? Just Sam's has got the red version of Quest. That's all.
Makes sense, buddy.
Right, I think we got it sorted. Okay, I think we're all good.
I'm not seeing a page. Okay, now I see it again. All right, perfect.
Hang on. Can you have a look at Harry's? Just a second. He says he's missing his nav. I think it's his computer, but
No,
Yeah, it's just
there is no side nav yet, unless he's missing the top nav.
No, mine's got responsive default, so I'm seeing a waffle instead of that list of navigation.
Okay, what kind of computer do you have? Is it a small screen?
Yeah, that's why I think it's.
All right. What you might want to do is like Control minus to get a smaller view and see if that brings it in. Because
yeah, he sorted it. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay. So, all right. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to create some content on our homepage. And why am I not seeing your side nav? Let me edit the template real quick. That is a sub navigation. I am seeing you all here. This side nav should be showing. Why is it not showing? Oh, because I'm looking at my own page inside of here. This one should actually show. Edit. Page properties. And let me just make sure everybody's getting picked up. Let me do a Quest 2 column with side nav. Save and publish. And now I'm seeing everybody. Now, Sam, the only reason that I'm not seeing you here is because you're missing a checkbox. So let me see. We got Dean, David, Chi, Alex, Harry. And the checkbox you're missing. Oh, and somehow we are. Okay, that's just the browser messing with me here. They're not nested. It's not showing me the plus signs, but that's all right. Okay. So Sam, you're missing the checkbox on the folder, which is just this show on menu here. So I'm going to get you in there and save. And I think Matthew, same thing. Checkbox, save. Now I can go to my training homepage and I can see everybody now. That way I can click on your name and get immediately to your page, you know. So the next thing I want you to do is go to go back to the site browser. If you're on your home page, just go ahead and click back on browser over here on the left hand side. Click on browser, and then click on your folder under the training folder. I want you to right click and go to page properties on your page. Okay, right click and page properties from the site browser. No matter where you were, you should be able to click on site browser. Then your folder underneath the training folder. Right click on your folder that appears in the main detail area and page properties. Now, make sure that you click. No, you don't need to. You do not need this show on menu checked, but if you did, and the reason that you don't need the show on menu checked is because your folder automatically has show on, well, I mean, whenever we created your folders, we had show on menu, and this is going to be the default page of your folder. Okay. Now, how do we make this particular page? What if there's 20 pages inside the directory? How do we make it the default page that whenever you hit the folder itself? So if you just go for, this training website / Dean G, how does it know which page to go to? Well, what we need to do is change this URL right here instead of just kind of, it automatically takes the title and kind of does a URL friendly URL automatically, but we can manipulate that. So highlight your URL and type index, and that will make it the default page whenever you just hit the folder URL and you don't put any page reference, it'll still resolve. Okay, so lock for editing and save and publish. And
can you do a quick explanation of the lock for editing? So if we lock it, does that mean another user couldn't then go and edit it, or
yes,
what's the purpose of that?
It's pessimistic content locking. So if I am editing the page, then it automatically locks everybody else out of the page who's not a administrator.
Okay, great. Cheers.
Yeah. And the same for content, same for everything else, has the same locking concept. Now I want to. Why am I not seeing my side nav? Sub nav menu. Let me just check something real quick. Sub. Nav menu. Looks like that was changed in the starter. Okay, no worries. We will see that build out. They just changed it to be a second level nav. All good. I just needed to understand what they did. Okay, we'll see more items populate as we actually create them inside of this sub nav here. And so that we do see those items appearing, and I do test that new VTL that they wrote in the starter. Let's go and add some more items to this main navigation menu and make them show on menu and appear in our menu here.
Sorry, can you have a quick look at Matt's homepage? He seems to have put a button in the header, and we don't know how he's done it. Yeah, that on the left.
Okay, what he did was he went ahead and put show on menu on his own page, which is okay. But and that's what I was about to test. So here, oh no, he didn't. I thought he had this here. And let's see, Matt, page properties. He's got the Quest 2 column with side nav, same as us. And that's kind of what I was expecting to see on my page. That's why I looked at that new subnav. Page properties. Let me see. If I do this, then I get my home page. That's what I was expecting to see if I did that, but I don't see that's on his checkbox. I'm wondering if there's something cached. And if you uncheck it, save and publish. Okay. Yeah, there is something in the cache. That must have been what he did. He went ahead and put show on, he published it once with show on menu on the page. Then he unpublished it, but it hasn't cleared cache yet. Now, if I went to maintenance and I flush all caches and then we go back, unless it's here in my Chrome browser that's giving me the false. Then whenever we go back, mine should be gone and Matthew's should be gone. So if we go to Matthew now, yep, his is gone too. It was just a false cache thing. All right, but we're going to make things appear in that left-hand nav. But by default, the reason I didn't do that with the index page is because I didn't want, in the main navigation menu, I didn't want, whenever we go to D&G, I didn't want there to be sub-nav options for the same exact page that you hit whenever you just hit the main folder, right? The folder is the way to get to the index page. Now we're going to add some sub-navigation menus that are things other than the home page. Okay, you'll see whenever we get there. All right, so I'm going to make sure I'm on my index page, and let's lock it for editing. Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and lock it for editing, and let's go ahead and add a little welcome message whenever they land on our index page so that we know we've hit our index page. So click Add Content, New Content here on your own index page. So just edit your own index page from the browser and select Generic Content after you've added new content. So click Add Content, New Content, Generic Content. Okay. Once you click that, then you should get title and body. And so, I'm going to Dean's welcome message, and I'll just do some lorem ipsum or something.
Are there any customizations to the WYSIWYG so we can lock certain things down on that? I know that's a bit later down if we're going to talk about it, but is it possible to do that?
Yeah, everybody does that. Yeah, you can totally hide or show and then manipulate via your main CSS file, how H2s and H3s and LIs and ULs work, and show. So yeah, totally customizable, and pretty much every client has a little plugin to say which fields from those WYSIWYGs are going to be exposed.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. That's more something support handles, since it's almost a part of every single client's onboarding, and using .cms and setting it up. So if you just say, hey, we're ready to talk about WYSIWYG options, support's the best kind of people to handle that. So I just added a welcome message to my training homepage. Now we're going to add multiple items to the subnav underneath that training homepage. So click back on your site browser. We're kind of covering the site browser first, and what are all your right-click options here. So go ahead and right-click the folder of your own name again. New, we've already done a new folder. We've already done a new page. So now let's go ahead and do image or file. So go ahead and click image or file. Let's allow it to be the default file asset, but you could also upload documents, file assets, videos. You know what? Let's go ahead and choose let's choose document and click select. And now you can upload a PDF from your own desktop or whatever. I think I'll just choose a PDF, an agenda from my downloads page. Here we go. Content Architect Remote. I'm just going to go ahead and open up that agenda. I could put a little description in here. I'll add some lorem ipsum there. Okay. Those are non-required taxonomies, so we won't put anything there. And you'll notice there's a customized workflow over here to the left. Save as draft, send for review, send to legal, or publish. But I'm going to go ahead and publish at this time. Okay. And now we've got this agenda here. Okay, so everybody should be seeing something, some sort of document here. Once it's uploaded, right-click and edit that same document that we just uploaded, or file or image, whatever you did. Click Edit. And then go to the Metadata tab. Once you upload, whether it's an image, whether it's a file or anything, you'll see all of the metadata automatically skimmed from the file itself. Now I uploaded a PDF, but if you uploaded an image, then you should be able to see the camera that you used to take the picture, when it was taken, what year. All of that metadata is gleaned from the file. Now, if we want a file to automatically appear in our side menu, then on the metadata tab, we click on Show on Menu. We got to lock for editing, I guess, first. Click Show on Menu and republish that file. Okay. So as long as you did the Show on Menu on the file, open up your index page again by just double clicking on it. I'm going to open up my index, and now I should see that Content Architect training agenda. Now that's got a really long name on it, so it doesn't look very good in my left-hand menu. But if I click on it in my side nav, then it should automatically open up that agenda or go to that file. Right? Let me know if everybody's seeing their file appearing in that left-hand navigation. How we doing, Adam? Everybody okay?
I think we're getting there, yeah. There was just a few issues with people trying to upload text files. It wasn't having it, but if you re-upload it, it's fine.
Okay. Oh, uploading a zip file. Yeah, that doesn't work out too well. Yeah. Yeah, just a simple document, guys. Nothing crazy. Yeah, we wanted to just be able to open up, something that's through a browser, openable. Okay, so you can make show on menu for files, images, show on menu for other pages, etc. Let's go ahead and create a new page. Let's create a new page, and let's call it just a regular page asset inside your directory. Let's call it movies. The template we're going to use, just type in 2, and then make sure you choose the very last option, not the first one, the last option, or you'll get that internet guy. 2 column with side nav. We want show on menu. Okay, and do a 0 on the cache, the static cache for the page. Okay, movies. So everybody will have the same URL. 2 column with side nav quest, show on menu, 3 things on that page. And then delete your cache, put it to 0, and save and publish. All right, and I just flushed the cache so that now if you refresh your pages, you should be picking up that left-hand nav. And it should say your movies here. There's a issue with the cache refresh, I think, whenever you add a new page. No big deal. It's only temporary cache, but okay. So here in the sub nav here, just want to point out that whenever you are looking at this sub nav, whenever you have the page edited, you can click on this little sub nav menu reorder. So if I want here, and you could mess around with everybody's sub nav here, but if I wanted my movies to be first, my content architect to be second, I could click on it, save my changes, and you guys can overwrite that as well because you're all admins. So just be careful. Now it's rearranged, and of course the top level navigation as well. And you can mess around with sub item menus and the main menu items as well. Okay. Zoomed in too much. Here, I'll just cancel those changes. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new content type called movies, and we're actually going to format it to a container on our page so that we can start understanding the relationship between creating a content type and then what the content publisher perspective is. Okay. So we've done a lot of the basics here on the site browser, understand kind of how navigation is controlled by show and menu items on the site browser. Now let's go ahead and start creating those content types. Okay. So the first thing I want to show is the difference between the different content types. Here, if please go to types and tags and content types, and then filter by, up here in this top left hand, file. Okay. Now file content types are, okay, so I've got documents, and the document content type has these specific fields. There's host or folder, a file asset to upload the file, a file name, a title, description, a published date, services type, topic type for categorization, tag field, metadata, show on menu. Some of these fields you see that they can't be deleted. They're system fields. Whenever you're uploading a file, they're mandatory. The rest of these that have a little trash can symbol next to them are customized to this particular file content type for documents, right? If I go back and I click on content types again, if I look at videos, it's the same file content type, but then there's thumbnail, things that videos need, description, publish. Maybe there should be, more. I can add more fields to that type of content whenever I upload it. If I wanted to create a new content type for maybe audio files or something like that, I could just create new content type, make sure it's of type file, and I could click save. I don't want you guys to do this. I'm just showing you what's the difference. And then we're going to create our own regular content types in just a second. File content types automatically get all of these because to upload a file using a content type, you kind of need all these. You need the CIDR folder where it's going to, where it's uploaded to. You need to record that. Something to upload the file, the title of the file name, the metadata from the file, the show menu checkbox, the sort order option, and the description. Okay, those are all. And then I can add, I don't know, text duration. And I could add a hint here and say, and give a formatting, advice or something like that. You could even do regex validation. There's even some suggested regex validation. What if it was a phone number or something like that? Regular expression. A default value, if you wanted to have one, whether it's required, user searchable, system indexed, whether it shows in the content search listing, whether it's a unique field or not, that you can't have repeated values, all of those, right? I'm going to click cancel. I don't need those extra fields. But and then the second that I create the audio files guide, then I can go to content search, and then I can start uploading new audio files. And there's my file asset field, title, file name, metadata, show on menu options, sort order, and description. Okay, so it's really easy to create new content types of any type, and then start contributing new content and then placing them on pages or folders or whatever. If I right now go to my site browser, then I go to my folder, I can right click new file, and now I can select the audio file. And I select, and then it gives me, those fields. If I wanted to go to content types, audio files, and add that duration field, add new field to text, duration, user searchable, maybe show and list, maybe it's not required. I'll take duration, I'll move it right underneath file name, and then go back to the content search manager, add new content, and there is my duration field, right? So I can choose my file, whatever. This is not actually an audio file, but we'll assume it is. And then I add my duration. I look at my and save and publish it, right? So I just click cancel. All right, going back to content types, that's file content type. What about page content type? Well, we have a landing page and we have a page asset. We already use the page asset, but what if I wanted to create a new landing page? What does it do, right? And what's the difference? If we looked at what landing page does, you see how it's got a banner field here. It automatically allows banner content to be uploaded and used by the template that is customized to this content type. So whenever you create a landing page type page, then it automatically parses the banner and puts it on the page. So let me show you an example. Of how this type of page is different, because it kind of combines creating the page and the content in the same time. So new, I know it's not a landing page, it's not a page asset. Right click new page, and this time instead of page asset, we're going to do the landing page. And whenever I create my page, I'm going to place the content on the page at the same time. Banner page example. Subtitle of boat banner page. I don't know. Caption. I love boats. And then the type of page that I have to choose is a template that automatically is going to parse that banner that's part of the image. So I'm going to choose landing page, which that template is smart enough to know that it is for landing page type content, I choose a little, I think I have something on my desktop that's inside desktop demo and boat on a lake. And there's my little boat on a lake, and that should become part of my banner. Probably doesn't fit, but there's my boat on a lake. So now I've created my page where I can start lock for editing and editing content, and I've placed the banner that the template is smart enough to automatically pull at the same time, right? And then I can click on the add content and add new content and blah, blah, blah. Even though boats have nothing to do with the Quest Financial website, but I like boats, so that's my banner. So you can create different type of pages that the pages interact with the templates and automatically provide content fields or files or whatever from the actual page content to the template itself. I could have put another thing on the landing page that said, Facebook link. And my template could be smart enough to go ahead and pick up that link and then create a little Facebook icon over here on the header that would go with the Facebook link on each landing page independently. Okay, so as crazy as you want to get with it, you can do that. And you can see it's picking up the little caption or whatever underneath. So going back to content types, that's how you can take different types of pages and have different, like here, this landing page, it has a banner field. Whereas if you looked at the other page asset, it doesn't have any banner field or anything. It's just a generic page content type that has all the base fields, and that's about it, right? That's what we will kind of continue using to create pages. All right. In addition to file content types, which automatically upload the metadata from the files and stuff like that, pages, which you can have regular page content type, or you could have customized templates that pick up other page properties, and you can keep adding those fields to the types of pages that you create. Or you can have a regular content type. Oops. Sorry, that was my Rex team trying to call me there. Regular content type. So let's all, now that we know the difference between file content types, page content types, let's go ahead and do a regular content type together. And this will be our movie content type. So first, filter by content, which we see there are many different regular content types in the system. And let's click on add new content type. And the second we add this new content type and we place one of them on the page, we're going to take a break. Okay, because I know you guys are probably dying. Now that perked everyone up. I'm going to get a refill on my coffee soon. Yay! Okay, so add new content type. And remember, we're on content types. Choose regular content. And click here, add new content type. And notice there's a view relationship, add new relationship. So we'll get to that later too. Add new content type. Okay, Adam, is everybody here?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, real important we do these steps together. Okay, so if we were going to do imdb.com in .cms, which you could probably do this website, all the basics for movies and actors and everything like that, you could do that in a weekend in .cms. Not all the extra pages, but the basics, let's see. Let's look at what a movie is. So I like sci-fi, so we'll go to sci-fi and take a look at Cloverfield's coming out with another one. So I'm a comic book nerd. So here we would obviously need I'm just looking at this main content right here. We would need the title. The title should probably have the year in it because, Marvel will probably in the year 2025 do a remake of this movie. So it's good that the year is part of it there. A rating. a duration. We're going to have taxonomies. Now, this is a perfect example of categories because you're never going to find action, adventure, and sci-fi don't need to be content. They are one-word labels. And that's exactly describes what a category is in .cms. And it's also predefined by the webmaster. If anyone's putting a movie into imdb.com, they should never be able to say, I'm inventing my own genre. It's a fixed list. It's a finite list of maybe 32 different genres or something like that. And there aren't any other. It's possible maybe one day another movie genre will be invented, but, they're already known. They're not content. They never need an explanation. It's already assumed. It's a one-word label. So we will do this exact category. We're going to need a movie description, a date a release date, and then we're going to use a relationship to another content type that'll be for like the actors and directors and stars and stuff like that. And then we'll use relationships to pull that data, right? And we need a poster, right? So let's do all of that right now. So let's just call it, we're going to need, since we're all creating the same exact content type on the same exact host with the same exact user, we need to put, I'm going to put D&G movies, okay? So put your own first name, last initial, and then movies. All right. And we don't need to touch anything else for right now. Just click save. The second you save, it doesn't automatically create any fields like the file asset or the page asset. It just allows you to add whatever fields you need, right? And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add a whole bunch of new fields right here. So let's click add new field. That brings us here. And we're going to first select the very first field, which is text. And we're just going to add title for the product. So just put title. And if you don't name it exactly this, then whenever we come to the code, then you're going to have to change all of your code to, so just put title, that exact name in that exact way. Your life will be easier whenever it comes to the dynamic nature of our polls. Now, whenever you're creating text field, you could do, you can say it's stored as text, decimal, or whole number. It's just text. And we don't need any validation or automatic hinting, or all our movie names are going to be different. It should be required if you're creating this. It should be user searchable. Certainly on the back end, you would be able to search for movies by name. You want it shown whenever they click on content search and they search for movies. You want it to be able to show the names in the content search manager, and it should be unique for this type of content. Like I said, even if there's a remake of Black Panther, the title actually should have the date in it. And that's obviously what they're doing, right? I'm very depressed. It only got a 6.6. Okay. So let's go ahead and save that field. And okay, we got title. Then we need description. So let's add another field. Let's make it right here. We've kind of grouped the text boxes, then the file fields, then the date fields, then the taxonomy fields and data aggregation fields, then some custom fields and line dividers. So all your text is right up at the top. So second one's text area. And then we're just going to call this one description, right, for the movie description. We'll say it's required, but be careful. Do not get in the habit of every time checking all of these boxes. Why? If you made this user searchable, which you could, but it also creates a system index, which means every single description of every single movie would need to be, a separate search index is created for it. Now, this is not a problem with a small site, with hundreds and thousands of pieces of content and only 20 or 30 or 40 different content types. But we have had cases where webmasters were, for thousands of websites they're managing and hundreds of content types per host. Extreme cases. Literally hundreds of thousands of back-end users logging into .cms, and literally millions of front-end users. Okay, so we're talking about very large loads every single day, every single hour. And they were they were checkboxing everything every time and indexing every field on every content type on every host. So the indexes take up space on your hard drive. It's a separate index for searchable, fast searching of that particular field on that particular content. And if you multiply that times 1,000 different hosts, and you've got a different index on every single one, on every single content type, you can consume a lot of space on your server for no reason. I would not say I want my descriptions of movies to be searchable. And I would spare my server the index of this. I would want them to search by title, search by category, search by things like that. Maybe even release dates I would definitely do. But by default, I wouldn't make the description. Now, this is only in extreme cases with tons of load, with tons of content types, but just don't checkbox everything willy-nilly without thinking about it, is what I'm saying. It does take up space. Doesn't matter unless in the most extreme cases, but I always say it because of that one extreme case where everybody was checkboxing it without even thinking about it. So then we need a poster. All right, so we're going to skip over the text fields for right now, and there are 3 different fields that can handle files. Binary, which stores the file directly in the content. Image field, which stores the image somewhere on the site browser tree and then merely links it to the content, and does the same for files. We want this poster to be right here inside of the movie content. So let's make it a binary field, and we'll call it poster. And we'll add an image field and show you the difference and how you dynamically grab them and everything. That's all you have to do for a binary field, and just click save. And there's our poster. Now we want a release date. So let's add another new field and choose under date and time. Let's just go ahead and make this one regular date and just call it release date. It's regular date, no date and time. Make it required. Sure user searchable. Show and list all of the checkboxes. And click Save Field. Now let's move the release date in between title and description. Let's move the poster in between release date and description, and that will determine the ordering for our content publishers. Right. Okay, now we need to add those categories so that we can have like this action, adventure, sci-fi thing. Now I've already got, I went to the imdb.com and I downloaded all of their categories so that we will be able to see how to import a category list. I've got a file here. I'll show you what it is, just so you know, no tricks up my sleeve or anything like that. Let me see, I think it's inside of desktop and demos. Desktop and demo and movies, movie genres, CSV. So I'll open it with Excel to show you what it is. And I'm going to make all of these our choices. Really, really simple. I've just got a name of the category. I've got a key, that's a non-repeatable, so that's my unique value. A velocity variable, so if I want to call or search for content that is labeled by that movie category, I can use that velocity variable. And then a sort order, how do I want them to appear as children in the drop-down menu whenever I choose the movie category. Okay, so that's it, nothing big. Let me quit that. And I'm going to import this list. Okay. So you guys stay right here. and wait, and I'm going to create a category that you're going to add as a field. So you guys stay here on this screen on your own computers, but I'm going to go create the category we can all use on our content types in just a second. And if you yourself, as a webmaster, you need to access multiple tabs at one time, the easy way to do that is not to navigate away from your content type by clicking on categories with a left click, but what I do is I right click, open in a new tab, and that way I'm still ready here on my content type to add the field right after I create the category field option, right? So just a helpful hint there. Don't navigate away from your stuff. So here's our category manager. I've got all of these for funds and everything like that, but that doesn't really match what I need for my movies. So we're making believe that we're going to create a new movie website or something with this content type. And so I'm going to add a new parent category. Now you can, of course, do all this manually, and I'll call this genre, right? I'll give it a category key that's a non-repeatable genre. I don't want you guys doing this. Remember, we're all going to use the same category. And so now I've got this genre parent category, and I could click in here and I could add, I'm going to add one called trash, just to show you this is a child category option. And I could keep adding multiple categories like this, but I don't want to do that one by one type thing. I've already got an import available. So in the category manager, you can actually import at any level. And whenever I choose import, I'm going to get rid of my trash by choosing the replace option. Or I could add edit, and then any existing categories that matched by key, then it would just update. Maybe it would update my sort order, or it would update the name. And all I have to do in my CSV file is match the key. Okay, but I'm just going to replace. I'm going to get rid of the existing ones at this level, and I'm going to replace it with the ones from my file, which I already showed you was on desktop and demo and movie genres, right? And then here's a sci-fi subset that I'm actually going to install as a third level. So I'm going to open that up, and it imports all of those guys right there. And so now we've got about 26 different movie genres that will be available as soon as we connect this to a category field on our content type. Inside of sci-fi, I'm going to click into it. You can see in my crumb trail, I'm inside of sci-fi, and I'm going to import again. And I'm going to choose sci-fi subset. And now I've got a whole bunch of different types of sci-fi: apocalyptic, space opera, space western, alternate time history, all that good stuff. So now that I've got that, now I can just click back to my content type in my other tab, and now you guys can join me in adding a category field. So let's click Add New Field. Choose this time, instead of any of our text here, let's go down to the taxonomy fields, click Category, and let's go ahead and call this Genre. And click on Genre as that category. That's our new choice, which we didn't have before. I just imported it. Right? Genre, and we'll make it required and user searchable because we do want them to be able to search by movie genre. Right? And save your new field. That movie genre we don't want to have at the end. We would maybe want to move that right underneath title. Okay, what else do we need here? Let's go ahead and add one more field. And then we'll add a movie and take a break. Okay. So we're going to add a new field, and this is going to be publish date. So add new field. This has to be, to integrate with the time machine, it has to be date and time. Okay, must have the timestamp. Date and time, and let's go and put publish date. And we will make it required. And check all those checkboxes. And I do think for default value for time and date fields, is that true? think you can do now. I think it auto-populates. Let's just leave that. I think it auto-populates with the current date and time. All right, and so that publish date I would want to put right underneath release date maybe. And then we're going to configure that using our, on the properties here of our content type. Okay. Let's go ahead and add one more field. And it needs to be that date and time field, and this will put a unpublished date. Let's require all of that as well. Save our field, and let's put it right underneath published date. So once again, date and time, and it's unpublished date. Adam, how are we doing? Everybody got all of these fields here?
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay. Then let's go to properties, and this is where we're going to hook up and say, this is time-sensitive content. We're going to have movies automatically appear and disappear off our site for whatever reason. So go to properties, and this is where you hook up those time-sensitive fields if you want. It's not default behavior. Okay. You see on the properties tab of our content type, there is a published date field and an expired date field. If and only if you say publishing is not going to be user controlled, it's going to be field controlled for events, for promotions, for coupons, whatever, then you can do this. It's not default behavior. And then this will integrate with the time machine. So I'm going to make my published date field my published date field from my content type. You will only get fields from your content type that are time and date and timestamp. Okay. So I'm going to choose published date, and here for expire date, we'll choose the unpublished date. Okay. So choose those two. And click save on your content type. Or you should want to update all the content types of this. Yeah, we do. And one last field, I promise this is the last one. And then we're going to add the content and we're going to go on break. Let me give you a path that you're going to need. I'll give you the complete statement. And we'll show something cool before we add our VTL URL. Where's my URL? Widgets, custom fields, and URL title. And I'll give you the statement to use. Custom fields are awesome. I love custom fields. And if you want to do anything cool, you need to know how to use them. Okay, we're going to use this statement .parse, which means basically include the code. And so I'm going to message that to you. This is the statement that you need inside of a custom field .parse. With that, send to all. I just sent it inside the GoToWebinar. Okay, and if not everybody is logged into the things, maybe somebody can email it to everyone.
They can type it out. Yeah. Where are they putting it?
They're going to put it over here. So we're going to add a new field to the content type. And this will be a custom code field. So we're going to go down here towards the bottom and choose custom field. And this is where they're going to drop that .parse statement. And we must all give it the same exact label, which is URL space title. And let me know whenever everyone has this, Adam. Make sure it's URL space title so that it ends up getting a camel case velocity variable name, and then we won't need to change code.
Cool, we're all good.
Okay, now this is really, really important. What we're going to do is the same thing we've done for the documentation site. Here in like our documentation site, there's only one page and one content type. That's it. But we've got 600 articles. And every time that you click on any one of the articles, the URL that you're hitting is SEO optimized. It matches exactly your H2s on this page and everything like that. And the relationships between the content actually determines the order that it appears in the nav. So it's one page that's all dynamically driven. So we're going to make a content type that's kind of like that. Now, to make this automatic URL mapping happen, we have to parse a field that's going to then take our titles and make URL friendly paths. And to do that, we need to make sure that this searchable field or searchable path is indexed. So the first thing you need to hit is indexed down here at the bottom. User searchable, required, show in list, and unique. Just hit them all. And then the second we start creating the content, you'll see how it works. But if it isn't system index, your URL mapping will not work. It needs to be fast searchable. That's what basically system index means, fast search. So click save, and then let's take the URL title field, which double check your velocity variable. It must be all lowercase URL and capital T title. Okay. Otherwise the code won't work. We could manipulate the code, but grab and drag the URL title, put it right underneath title, and let's start contributing some content. Okay. To do that, all we have to do is click underneath content. We click on search. Okay. Go ahead and click there. And then you should be looking at your content type listed right here. Here's all of the searchable fields that we just added. Title, URL, release date, published date, unpublished date, and genre are all searchable fields. That's why they're appearing here in the left-hand nav. And we can add new content. We're going to do 2 movies. That's it. One that is published right now, and one that'll be a coming soon movie. And that way, whenever we come back, we can test the time machine and stuff like that. Okay? So I'm going to click add new content in one tab. And then in my other tab, I'm actually just going to copy and paste from imdb.com and put a movie in here. Okay, so I'm going to use my Black Panther right there, and I'm going to get these tabs right next to each other, and I'm just going to paste. And structure.url map pattern, that is appearing because yeah. Don't worry about that for right now. Don't worry about that for right now. Let's see. Can I? Well, yeah, okay. We might not be able to publish. So click cancel. We need to take care of one more thing on our content type. So go back to your content types, open up your movie content type, go to properties, and this is where we're going to establish that URL mapping. Okay, we need a detail page that's going to handle our request to see the detail on that movie, and a URL map pattern. Okay, go ahead and click Browse for your detail page. And whenever you click Browse, and that's right here, so on your content type, or on Properties, on your content type, right? On Detail page, go ahead and click Browse, click the little plus sign next to demo.dotcms.com, right? And then go to the plus sign next to Training, and then click on your own named folder. So all I did was expand Training, and click on D&G, and then pick your Movies page. All right, now I've got my Movies page selected. Now your URL map pattern. And here I'm going to put a / Dean's Movies. Make sure you put a unique, this has to be unique, otherwise we're all going to be doing requests to the same URL map pattern. That would not be good. So put your own name in there. So Adams Movies, you know, everybody, first name should be sufficient. / and then we want that URL title. That's that custom field. So that's just inside of curly braces, URL, capital T title. Inside curly braces there. And everybody should have a unique path. Please don't put Dean's Movies in your URL map pattern. Then we'll be conflicting. All right. And whenever you're ready, click Save. Okay. Now we can go to Content Search. Add new content. And whenever I put in my Black Panther 2018 here, then the URL title should pick up and auto create itself. If it doesn't, let me know. I will edit your content type and make it so. Anybody having problems? Okay, I don't hear that anyone's having problems. So I'll go ahead and click on, I'm going to just do the rest of the, so click on my categories. And just looking here, it's action, adventure, and sci-fi. So click back. Now, if you just click on the name, it adds the label. So I can do action, adventure. But sci-fi is beyond my list here. There's 26 different items, so I can search sci, even though I don't have the case right. That's fine. And then I can just click on sci. I can clear the search. What if I entered biography and that's a mistake? I can just click it over here on the right-hand side. See action, adventure, sci-fi. Click on biography to remove it. Or if I added it, comedy, and then I closed, that's all you have to do is close the box, and you can see all of your labels right here. If comedy was wrong, I can just go ahead and click on the label and remove it. All right, so add your categories for your taxonomy. And then we're going to later create a dynamic poll which will pull action movies, adventure movies, sci-fi movies, all the different genres, right? Release date is set for February 16th, so I'm going to go ahead and honor that real release date, February 16th. But I want to publish it right now because I want everybody to know about the movie that's upcoming, right? And then I'll dynamically show the release date. So today, I'm just going to go ahead and choose today, which today is the 12th. So I'll just go ahead and choose today. And as long as I do choose today or before today, it will let me publish. Otherwise, it won't let me publish. For the unpublished date, there's automatically a never here if we don't want to unpublish. But let's just imagine that we do for some reason. So I'm going to uncheck the never. And I'm going to say by March 31st. March 31st, I want it to unpublish and remove itself from my site for some reason. You don't have to put timestamps. If you don't, it'll be 12 a.m. automatically. And that's fine. I'm going to choose my poster and my description now. So I'm actually just going to copy my description right from here. Place it right in there. And I can even right click and save image as to my desktop. Save, and then go back to my tab and upload Black Panther there. I think everyone is using. If you see that it doesn't show you the image, that means it had problems uploading the poster. We're all hitting the same portlet at the same time. It'll still allow you to save and publish, but you may have to open it up again since we're all as the same user. Yep. Choose that file again. There we go. Now it took. It's just same user, same servlet, or all at the same time. So we had a little conflict there. And save and publish again. And now whenever we open back up our image, it's there. That just happens during training because we're all as the same user. Okay. I think that's enough for now. Whenever we come back, we'll add another movie that never unpublishes. We'll add a movie, we'll add a movie that we'll add a movie that appears in the future and never unpublishes, and then we'll look at the time machine and show how this movie content is picked up at the specific dates on our site. We'll attach it to a page, show it on a page. Okay, but I think it's time for a break now and give you guys a little relief. It's 5 after the hour for me. We'll come back at 15 after the hour, so take 10 minutes now, okay?
Cool, sounds good. Thank you.
See you in 10.
Yeah, bye.
The recording, and let's go ahead and create one more content type that we're going to connect this content with an actual page and a container. So we want to see how we can preview content using the time machine and everything like that on the page that we're about to create. So let's go ahead and add one more movie that maybe we look at the coming soon or something like that over here. Let's see. What's coming soon? I'm going to pick The Chamber. What? How can 2016 be coming soon? That doesn't make sense. Whoops. IMDb. What's wrong with you? Oh, I guess it just automatically lists. Why? It's got some 2017? Wow, this is really weird. All right. Obviously not using .cms. Okay. All right. So we'll do February 23rd. That's not really much in the coming soon, but it is in the future, so we'll use that. So I'm going to add new content, pick something that is coming soon, and before I forget, that's going to be published date is going to be February 23rd, and let's make that the release date as well. We'll just make them automatically. We won't say anything about the movie until its release date. let's see, adventure, drama, fantasy. So adventure, drama, and fantasy. And I'll copy that, save images, right on my desktop, choose my poster, and paste my description. And our unpublished data will be never. And now we'll try to save and publish the content, and we won't be able to. Why? Because the publish date is the master decision maker on when this publishes, and that isn't today or prior to today. So I'll save and publish, and we'll see on the back end that is yellow light status. It will ignore my or orange light status, and it will ignore my publish request, because, and only because, we set up the time-sensitive fields to manage that on the content type. This is not default behavior. Let me know whenever everyone has 2 movies as content, and we're going to create a custom container that handles this type of content, and then we're going to place that in a template, and then create a new page that handles movies.
I think we're all good.
Okay, great. So now we're going to remember the container is the one that formats the content. So we're going to go to create a container, then create a template that parses that container, then create a page that uses the template so that we can reuse this content. Okay, so let's go to containers, and it should look like this under site browser. Click containers. Should be looking at this. Let's add a new container.
Are we all doing this as well, right?
Yes. Yes, so let me start from scratch. Site and containers, right? Delivers you here. And then click on the add container. Now, all this is going to be hands-on for a while. Once you add new container, then I'm going to call this Dean G movie container. So if you could put your first name, last initial. And then very, 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 very important, otherwise your container won't work for this content type at all. You can't have your max number of contents allowable 0. You have to allow content, right? So let's just make up a number. Let's say the total number of movies you can statically place dynamically, we could pull whatever, but right now we're working on static, then we'll get to dynamic. We'll say 10 movies, no more than 10 statically placed movies at a time. And once you click here in the code field, then you'll see the rest of the fields change. So max contents must be set to something other than 0. Now, if you're going to leave the max content 0, that's usually for a header or a footer where you never want content contribution at all. So obviously you're not going to format anything, any content types. And now here it automatically chooses Adam C because he's the first content type in the list, and it's required that at least one's there. So just we're going to get rid of Adam C in just a second. Let's go ahead and type our own name. So I'm going to type in Dean. It automatically finds my container. So I just started typing DEA. I click on My Movies. I add my content type. So you have to click the Add Content Type button. That adds me over here. And then I just click to remove Adam once I have my own added. Okay. Now we are going to allow 2 different content types to be contributed to this container. Not only the Dean G movies, but we're going to allow the generic content type. So what is it? Web page content. No, content. So just type in content, CON, and it will allow generic content. So we choose that. Then we must click the button to the right that says Add Content Type, and now we've got Dean G movies and content generic. Okay. Sorry, guys, a bit of an emergency call there. Here under content generic, want you to click on add variable. And what it'll do is it'll automatically detect the main content type and all of the fields on that content type. So click on add variable. And then we're going to only expose for the generic content type the body field. So we can just click add and it will add the velocity variable for that field so that it is exposed once it's, and that's it. We don't need to do anything else. We could do cool things and allow them to inline edit it and other stuff, but we're just going to keep it simple. And under Dean G movies, so now we've got that one done. We'll click on your movies, and let's say that whenever they statically contribute the content, we're only going to show like maybe the heading and the release date or something like that. And then we'll make it clickable that they click and then they go to a detail page. So let's go ahead and put an H2 here. It'll auto-complete for you. And then in the middle of that H2, reselect inside the middle there and then click add variable, and we want the title there. And make sure before you click like a backspace that you re-click into here, otherwise it'll backspace in the browser, and you'll end up having to go back to your container. So make sure you refocus your mouse before you hit the backspace or delete. Okay. And then let's press enter, and let's show the release date. So maybe we'll do EM for italics. Put a BR at the end of it. And inside of the italics there, we want the release date short string. Let's go ahead and get the released date. Okay, that'll help us with the formatting a little bit, at least it should. Click add. Oh, that doesn't help us with the formatting. Make sure you refocus before you hit the backspace, otherwise you'll get right out of your container. And we'll show it unformatted and then we'll fix it later. And let's go ahead and show the poster just for fun. So let's do this inside of a p tag. And inside of that p tag, add variable, and let's do poster.resized. And that at least does have the right code, but we do need to manipulate that a little bit. So just, we only want the width, and let's just make the width 200. So let's get out that extra height guy. We don't want any scrunching at all. 200. We can leave the and language ID, that's fine. Just in case we support multilingual content, then it'll automatically do the right thing. So all you need is width 200, and then you can leave the and language ID alone. Okay. Everybody good? Ready to save and publish? Okay. Save and publish. And now we have our movie container. All right. Now we need to create a template that uses the container. And David, be careful. It looks like you did save instead of save and publish. So make sure you save and publish your movie container. All right. And let's go to templates. And now we're going to create a new template using the template designer. And Adam, at any time, if I'm moving too quick, just go ahead and unmute and let me know. Okay. I can't see everyone, so. And we're going to use the template designer this time. So add template designer template. Make it real easy on us. One column, one row, easy. And I'm just going to call this Dean G movie template. Right. Try to avoid putting, things like apostrophe S as the in the name of a template, because it won't break the object. But if you ever try to parse the object name, then you've got a single quote that you got to escape and everything like that. So just try to keep it out of object names in case you want to grab that value.
How did you get to the? Sorry, how did you get to the template designer again?
Yeah, you just go to Site and Templates, right where we went to Containers, right? And then on the right-hand side, after you're on the template portlet, click here and add Template Designer. Okay. And then after you do that, then you should be here. So Site, Templates, add template, and then you're here.
A few of us are getting a blank screen when we go on this.
Okay. Maybe Control minus on your browser and then hit the hard refresh, or Control R or Command R to hit the template designer. If you've got really small screens, then I would suggest hitting the Command minus to unzoom. And if that still doesn't resolve it, whenever you do a hard refresh. Let me see if maintenance and flush all caches. Now try again and let me know if it's still a problem. Let me know which person it is. I want to see their screen.
Oh yeah, so we're still getting the issue. It's she, Matt, and Harry are all getting the same issue. There are 2 Macs and 1 Windows machine.
Okay, and which one's the Windows machine?
Harry's.
Okay, so I'm going to find Harry here. And I see that Harry is the one signed into the main monitor. But you got the rest of you guys. No,
that's me. That's you? I've just used his link.
Yeah, nobody else is signed into the meeting, so I can't see. But what operating system is it in Windows, and what browser?
It's Windows, and Windows 10, and it's just Chrome, the latest version of Chrome. Has anyone got the link? If you just click your link.
Yeah, Windows 10 is kind of not the standard anymore, but that still should be supported. And then on the Mac?
Yeah, they're still on Chrome on Mac.
But what is the
on the advanced template? It's working. It's only the other template file that's not.
So if I go into this one,
we don't want the advanced templates. We want the template, because the advanced template is the raw code. We don't want that one. We want template designer. You're saying this one, template designer, does not show.
So the template designer is not working. It's weird because we've got several people using the same Mac with the same operating system, and some with Chrome, the same version of Chrome, and some are working and some aren't. So
that's really weird. That shouldn't basically happen.
Can you all try Safari quickly? You try Edge.
Yeah.
So it works in Safari, I think. Hang on.
Okay.
admin.cms.com and then admin password. I think it might be something to do with the fact we're all logged in at once, because using the same credentials, because when we first logged in, we're having the same issue, so they needed to log out and log back in, and it sorted it. So
right.
We'll see. Any better?
It works in IE.
Okay. Just come out, go back into Chrome and try it. I'm sure it'll work. I think it's to do with logging in and out. Yeah. All right. So I think it's working. We should be all right.
Okay. All right. So everybody's on this screen, though. I don't want to leave anybody behind.
Harry's just logging in again now, so yeah, should be.
Okay. Let me know whenever he's logged in, and we'll all move forward together.
keeps on logging me out.
Yeah, I keep getting logged out because of the
Safari.
I think it's on Safari.
Go back into Chrome and try them.
I've tried logging back in.
Where are you guys located, by the way?
Manchester, England.
Ah, cool. I know what soccer team that you guys like.
Cheltenham. Whoop!
It's not Manchester United for everybody there?
No, I'm a City supporter, Manchester City.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's working in IE, but not Chrome, and then Safari, they seem to be logging each other out. Is that? Oh, okay, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Sweet. All right. So then first name, last initial, and movie container template. Sorry, we already did the container. And then the theme that we want to use, we're going to click the little down arrow, click the plus sign, and choose the Quest theme. Okay. So name the template, choose the Quest theme for the template, and I'll show you how to make themes of your own using whatever framework you wish, even your own custom framework, and you can install themes if you wish, or you can just do advanced templates. And then we're going to add container, and we're going to add the movie container that we added earlier. So click add container, and then just type your own name, highlight Adam there, and just type your own name. It should auto-complete and find the container, no matter if you have one container, a million containers, you know, all of that works fast. Like I said, we've got clients who are managing thousands of websites and, you know, thousands of containers and thousands of templates, and that little search feature is much better than trying to click on a drop-down list. All right, so now that I've got my movie container on my template, that's all I have to do. And now I should be able to click on Save and Publish on this template. Okay, so if everybody's got their movie container on their own template, they've done the Quest theme, then Save and Publish, right? And now that movie template's ready to use. Okay, now all we have to do is create a new page that uses that template. So click on the browser, and I'm going to collapse all of this stuff and go to DNG here, and let's create a new page. Right click, new page, page asset, just the regular one. Just click select, no need to make a choice there. Just new page and click select. And then here under template, before we even do the title to our page, type your own name. And there I've got my movie template, which I'm going to use for this page. And I'm going to call it Dean's Movie Detail. And please put show on menu for now. Take out the cache. Please put 0 there. Make sure you don't put an O. Put 0 on the cache time to live. Make sure you got your movie template chosen. And click on Save and Publish. Okay. We should be looking at this. And if we click Lock for editing, then if we click on the little I for information after locking our page for editing, click on the little I, it should say your movie container there. The little I is to the left of the Add Content button. Right? And as long as it says that, then we are ready to go ahead and add our movie content. Everybody ready there, Adam?
Hang on 1 second, Harry's stuck. 1 sec.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, yeah, we're all good. We're all good.
All right.
I'm all right.
Now, we already created our movie content in the content repo, so we don't need to add new movies. We're just going to reuse the ones that are already in the system. And I want you to place both so that we can test the time machine after we do this. So reuse content, and you can pick whichever, the generic content or the movie content. We want the movie content. It doesn't show you anything by default because it allows you to try and filter if you want to. Just click search down at the bottom. Just scroll down this side list here. Just click search and it'll find all of the movies in the system. There's only 2, So just click select. I'm adding my Black Panther. It's showing us the title, the unformatted date, but it still does show us the date, and then the poster underneath. And then let's add the other one. Reuse content again. Just go scroll down, click search, and then I'm going to add the other one. Okay, so I've got both movies. If it doesn't show like this, let me know. I will step into your page, edit your container or your template real quick so that everybody is here before we move on to the next step. And the easiest thing is just to let me know if it doesn't show the fields. Adam, I'll wait for you to confirm.
We're all good.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is, now that we've actually placed this on the page, then we're going to preview what this page looks like in the Time Machine. This first movie we said we're publishing right now. It's got a prior to today's date or prior to today's date publish date. But Annihilation, if we look at your live, and then that'll test whether the content was done right yet or not. You should only see one movie. You should not see the coming soon movie, right? And there's no way, even if you try to publish it, you can't. We've enforced the Time Machine fields on that content. There's no way to make that other movie live. So how do we know in the future that that movie is going to become live on the page on the right date and unpublished? And this first movie is going to be set to unpublish itself. So let's look at the Time Machine feature. And the only way you can do that is if you actually did make the path to your page navigable from the home page. So to test that, you can click on your training directory here in the home directory, Dean G, and then if I go to Dean G, I can hit my Dean's Movie Detail and get there. If you can't, then you can't peruse through Time Machine. So let me know if you have problems navigating to your page from the main nav, and I will help you. So if I go to Sam, you're missing the show on menu on your page. I got movies, but I don't have, let's see, Alex. Yeah, the show on menu is what we're missing here for several people, so maybe I moved a little too quick there. David got it. Okay, so let's go back to the site browser and let's correct that. Here, go to your movie detail page. Okay, right click, go to page properties, and you gotta click the show on menu. Otherwise, we can't preview anything through the. So right where I've got my mouse right now, that's what you're missing. Then save and publish. Okay. Anybody need help? You should be able to go to your index page or any page inside your directory, and you should be seeing your detail page.
I think we're okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, now go to Time Machine. Okay, and that is under Site and Time Machine, right where the site browser is. Click on Time Machine. Click on the Future option, and then go ahead and select just today's date. So we'll go ahead and select February, the 12th or the 13th. Let's go and select the future just on the 13th, and then you have to choose a language version. I want to just peruse it in English. Brings us to our home page for this quest site. And that's why I said you have to be able to navigate to your movie detail page. So I'm selecting training in D&G, then my movie detail shows me only Black Panther. All right, perfect. Now I want to select February 24th. Now I had the other one set to publish on the 23rd. So I'm going to select February 24th, reloads the page. Then I select D&G, and now I'm looking at my movie detail on the February 24th. This guy publishes itself on the 23rd, and it's showing up. Now I think I had Black Panther scheduled to unpublish itself on March 31st. So let me go beyond that date and see Black Panther disappear, and then Annihilation will be the only movie on the page. So now I just move forward a little bit more in time to April 2nd. And then I go back to my D&G, and I should see Black Panther unpublish itself, which is true. So everything's working correctly on our time-sensitive content, and content is automatically publishing and unpublishing itself, and it really will. You'll see that your published content will go to orange light status. Your orange light status will automatically go to green published light status. The content really does get changed at that time and changes status, because we have configured it that way. So you don't have to. It's not default behavior, but you may schedule the publishing and unpublishing of content, and you can preview it using the time machine. Now, what if I want a snapshot of my complete site so that if somebody changes my homepage and then they deny that the changes were ever made, obviously there's tracking on that, but I can go here to the past as an admin, go to settings, and say I want demo.cms.com. So I clicked on add site. I don't want you guys to do this. Just watch this. Add site. I want to include maybe all sites or just the English language version of this site. And then I say, when do I want it to run? Let's just say once a day at 1 a.m. It's going to back up the static HTML of the entire site. But I do have a save and run now. So I'm running that static backup of my site. And the second it's done running, then I'll have an option available here, which right now I don't for the past. So we'll come back here in a minute and we'll look at that snapshot, and we'll show that it is a prior version to the current site. Okay. And where does it, whenever you snapshot, where does it put the time machine static HTML, kind of like the Wayback Time Machine snapshots? If I look here on my local host, and I look at let me see, .cms 4.2, and I go into, this is my main .cms 4.2.2 installation on my local machine. I go into .server, I go into Tomcat, web apps, root, and then here's my assets directory in my .secure directory. If I go into assets, there's Time Machine, and then here it keeps track of all my snapshots in the Time Machine. And I only have one snapshot of that particular local website. So it's inside your assets directory. All right, we go back to the site and I refresh. Now I should have my static backup. I look at the past and it should have that timestamp. Now before I look at it, I want to change the home page so I can actually verify that what I'm looking at is a statically backed up site and not my real site in its current state. So I'm going to lock for editing the home page. I'm going to edit some content on the home page. Lock for editing, save and publish that change. Okay, so here, if we look at our live version of our current site, it's got this big change here, right? Now, if I go back to my time machine and I look at the past and I look at just a few seconds ago and I select English, then it's still showing the correct content before the edit, right? Because the snapshot occurred before. So if somebody tries to tell you, oh, the new site is just like it was in the past, or you just, what was the name of that piece of content that was being pulled? I can't remember. I know it was pulling last week. What is it? How can I find it in the database? What's the title for it? You can step back to any prior snapshot, look at it, and then, search for the title to that content, or, verify with another webmaster what it used to look like, and then edit the template, see what happened, look at the history, because you'll have the timestamp of when it was good. So you should be able to look at the history and bring back a version of the template whenever everything looked correct. Just a helpful way to preview content that will auto-publish itself in the future and look at the past on your website. And the same mechanism we use to back up all the static HTML here of the site is the same we use in our push publishing to push publish static versions of websites over to another endpoint. Okay. Any questions on the basics of templates, containers, content types, Time Machine?
I think we're all good. One question I had earlier on: if you was to, you say you can create images and pages and stuff in, so in my directory, I can create a page or an image or a file type. Is there any way that directories can be locked down so that you can only put them in certain things? So if I wanted all images to be in assets image directory rather than just in individual directories, can that be something we can do?
Somewhat. You can go ahead and say, let's add one inside of, let's just say there's an images directory inside of D&G. So I'm going to go do new. If you want, go ahead and add a images directory. I wanted to do this anyway. And we will show you a different type of field for handling images. So create a new folder inside of your named folder on the site browser. So, and I'm going to call this images. It's inside my own directory, so we can all call it the same thing. And here is a field that allows only certain file extensions within that field. So I could say I only want JPEGs in here. So if you don't put anything here, it allows anything. But if you, and we don't want that quote. So maybe I only want JPEGs and PNGs. I could do that and then star.jpg. Now this directory is only going to allow JPEGs and PNGs, or you could put, whatever other extensions you want and disallow any others. By default, that's the only thing there. If you wanted to manipulate that, of course, you can always extend .cms and add a little plugin to manipulate it, but that's what we have out of the box. So now if I try,
I think that's enough anyway.
Sorry?
That's good for us. I think that'll cover what we need it for anyway. We can just lock down folders so you can't just put images in every single folder, so it'll be fine.
Perfect. So here, if I tried to upload new, and let's just say I try to upload a PDF after I said the only thing allowed is, the JPEGs or PNGs. Let's see, I've got this guy right here. And save and publish. It'll say, yeah, it doesn't match the file type allowed. It's just showing you the validation does work. Okay, now inside that image directory, add a JPEG or a PNG. Let's add two of them by doing something we haven't done yet, which is multiple files. So add new multiple files, and I'm going to of type file asset. Yeah, file asset, and select the files to upload. They all have to be from the same directory, unfortunately. So I'm going to do desktop, demo, and movies. Where's my posters? And I'm going to get Rango and Ratatouille. And save and publish. And now it uploads my multiple files, and it does allow it because they're both JPEGs. All right. And you know what? I am going to, from Annihilation, I'm going to get Here are some other photos from Annihilation. So let me go ahead and get one of these photos here. Not great photos. All right, so I'm going to right click, save image as, and I'll just put and2. And I'm going to show you how there's a little difference between the way that image fields and binary file fields upload. So I just got another image from the same movie that I already have content for. Let's go to types and tags. Go to content types. Talk a little bit more about fields on the content types. So open up your own movie content type. We're going to add another field here. Let's add new field to the content type. And this time, let's go down to the file fields and choose image, not binary. Choose image. And I'm just going to call this screenshot. And click save. Drag that right underneath the poster so that they're together. And you notice this one is a binary image. This one's a regular image field. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we go to the Content Search Manager after adding that new image field, and I open up Annihilation again, and I scroll down, now you'll see that I have a browse next to screenshot. If I click on browse, I have to upload the image instead of directly to the piece of content like I did in the binary field. I have to upload it to a specific directory, which I'm going to upload it to the Dean G images directory. All right, so I'll click on that Dean G images. You guys choose your own image directory from your folder, or you could just choose your named folder if you didn't create the image directory. As long as you click on a folder, then it's showing me the image choices that are already uploaded to that folder. Or I can upload new file, which that's what I'm going to do. And it'll upload it to that folder. Now, why use an image field as opposed to a binary field? Well, what if I wanted to use all of my movie posters in an image gallery so that people could choose from all the movies that are on my site, click on a movie poster, and then see the detail about that image, or just create a photo gallery.
Hi, yeah. Can we just go back probably 30 seconds or so? So before you got onto this page, when basically most people have just added the new content type. It's just where they're going from there.
Okay. It was just the new field on the content type. So we are on the content type here. So under types and tags, content type, we add the screenshot image. So that would be just add new field, image field, right? If you didn't add it, and then I just called it screenshot, right? And then just click save on for adding the new field. I moved it so it's right underneath poster. And now I just went back to the content search. So go to content search, and then I opened up, one of my movies, and then went to browse for the new image on the screenshot. Right, we already have the binary image. So I click browse, and then I've got to find the folder that I want to upload that screenshot to. So I'm going to click the plus sign to the left of demo.ocms.com, plus sign to the left of training at the bottom. Then the plus sign to the left of my name to choose my images directory. If you didn't create an images directory, just choose your name directory. That's fine. In my images directory, it shows me all of the images that I could associate just by clicking on them. But I don't want Rango or Ratatouille associated with Annihilation. I want a new image uploaded. So I can click upload new file. If you didn't download something, just pick anything from your desktop. I'm now going to select the image that I want to upload. So I'm just going to click select files to upload. I was impatient. Sorry. And then desktop, and I think I have on my desktop, and 2, Annihilation 2, and save and publish. And save and publish will upload that image to the folder. Now that doesn't choose it automatically to relate it to this field on the content type. To relate the proper image, I have to actually click on the image that I've uploaded, and then that associates it with this content. Okay. Now, if we look at the info on both of these images, they're different, right? This is AN2. It's got a direct path that's training DNG images AN2.jpg, which I could, paste in another, URL and at the end of this domain, and it would resolve. And then in the info on the binary is a little different. It's got the website name, DA, a shorty ID, and then poster, and then and.jpg, the title, which I could hit, and that would also resolve. But it's a little different the way they resolve. They're both binary images, but they just have a different pathing on how to reach them. A lock for editing and save and publish. That saves and publishes that new field to that piece of content. If I reopen my content, you'll notice that I can't edit my screenshot. That's a little bit of a disadvantage there. So for like our documentation, I'm never going to create a photo gallery from my documentation images, ever. That would be silly, right? So for me, using an image field on that particular type of content doesn't make any sense. But many times it will. So there's not like one's better than the other. It's just what's your use case. The nice thing about for my documentation content is if something changes, we have a whole new UI or something like that, I want to go to that piece of content called User Permissions tab, and I want to update these two images to go with our new 4.0 look, which we're doing right now, because this is old screenshots, right? We're updating that. So I can just remove it. I can edit the image. It gives me a little image editor. It's taking forever. There we go. It's got the image editor. I can do a little cropping. I can do, all sorts of stuff. Here I could resize it. That's a really small resize, but I can rotate it, whatever. I can take off those filters. I can click close. So binary fields are editable within the content itself. Image fields are only associated, but exist outside. So if you did need to do a photo gallery or access those images by path to a directory, you can do that. So that's the advantage of the images and the image or file fields, is that they are abstracted to outside the content and merely linked. So it depends upon your use. And whenever we do web developer, we'll show how to reveal those fields in code. Okay. Let's go back to content types.
Give us 2 seconds. It's just kicked everybody out, so they're all logging back in.
Oh, what will help you is if you, whenever you go to log in, do this. Click on the Remember Me. And that'll help you stay logged in, that Remember Me. Let me know whenever everybody's logged back in.
Yeah, we're good. We're all good.
Okay, so recap. We did a back-end overview. We did file asset, page content types. We did menu links and vanity URLs. We took a brief look there. Content types, system, standard, URL, map fields. We're getting to the URL map fields. We already did it, but didn't look too extensively at it. Publish and expire fields. We did that for the time machine. We added a genre category and we put that on the content type. Now we're going to add tags and relationships. We already looked at the time machine, so we already did that one. Okay. So over here on types and tags, go back to your content type and open up your movies content type. We're going to add another field. And this time we're going to choose tag here. And then we're going to add relationships in a little bit. So click on tag. I don't see any reason. You could call it, I guess, keyword or something like that. I'm just going to put tag or tags. And user searchable. I'm not sure if I would do required, but and maybe we'll drag that right after genre so that we can see the category taxonomy and the tag taxonomy right next to each other. And let's click now, once you've got your tag field on your content type, go back to the content search. And under my first movie, I'm going to open up my first movie, and here's our tags. And if I type, let's just say I wanted to add Marvel here. It's not in my description, Marvel, but certainly there's a lot of Marvel-made movies, so maybe that would be something people would want to search for on the back end. So if I start typing MAR, it automatically says, do you want to label this with Denmark? Do you want to label it with Money Market or Smart? MAR, right? I could click on smartphone and it would automatically add that pre-existing tag, or I can just remove that and then type in Marvel. If you want to add multiple tags, you just comma, space, and then add your next thing. If I typed in dot, then I got .cms macro or .cms. I could click on them, remove them. And if you just put the comma at the end, then it automatically just enters that tag. Okay. And if on one piece of content, I save and publish those two new tags, then whenever I go to the next piece of content, I then type MAR, and it no longer is just Denmark and Money Market and Smartphone, but it also shows me Marvel here as well. Right? All right, and the same way we had a manager for our categories taxonomy, there's also a tag manager. And so if I go to under content types and tags, if you go to tags here, then it shows me my tags. Now, tags on content with no host or folder field are global tags. So we would need to show the kind of all host tags. If you have a host or folder field where on your content where you're saving to a specific host because you're doing multiple hosts and you're managing multiple sites and there's similar content between each, you might want it to do have different tag repos for each site, etc., which you can do. But I'm just going to show global tags. Once I click that show global tags, I can just do MAR. It automatically auto sorts. And there's my Marvel as the second term. All right. And it shows me exactly where each one of the tags live. Now, these tags live on all sites, and then there's one tag that lives on demo.cms.com, because the content type that the tag is actually used with actually does have a host or folder field and lives on a specific host. If I wanted to get rid of one of the tags, I could go ahead and click on Marvel here, and then choose delete that tag. Okay. Any questions about categories or tag taxonomy? Categories are defined by the webmaster. Tags are defined by each content publisher.
Yeah, I think we're all good.
Okay. Now let's create relationships. So now we're going to take care of this part of any website. It's very, very common where you've got one piece of content related to another. Now it would be absolutely horrible, and believe me, I've actually seen webmasters do this, where they say, oh, well, the names of the actors and actresses and directors will be a category. And they put Natalie Portman as a category. Or if they're doing employees and departments, they make the department names a category. Well, that's totally incorrect. That's a horrible architecture, because I guarantee that department has a building it's located in, has a phone number, has a department head, has an address, has all sorts of information that you need to record in the system usually. Maybe a Google Map location or something like that if you have departments around the world, etc., etc. So department should be its own piece of content, the same way here that movies should be its own piece of content, and actor or actress are certainly their own piece of content. And if we click on Natalie Portman, we can see here is the detail of Natalie Portman, and then all of the associated movies that she's ever made in her full bio, right? And then it's going to list all of the, well, hopefully somewhere here. Wow. Holy cow. That's one heck of a bio. Where's the movie list? Wow, IMDb. Where is the... surprised that that's so hard to find. There should be like a complete movie list here somewhere. But anyway. That's the way I would make it anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of that type of relationship here in .cms. So if we go to content types and we click new content type. So content types, new content type, we're going to do something really simple. New content type. And we'll just call this cast. And click save. And we're just going to do first name and last name. Keep it super simple. Text, first name. So we're going to add a new field, right? Make it text, first choice. First name, text. Required user searchable show and listing. Not unique, right? You are allowed to have more than one first name at the same time. All right. Add that to your new content type called cast. Oh, you know what? We're gonna. You can't. It should be Dean G cast. Sorry. Right. Otherwise, we all have the same exact name, and we don't know how to find out which one's ours. And then we're going to add another field, last name. And that is it. User required, show and list, not unique, and click save. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is from our content type, we're going to create a relationship between the two. So once you got your first name and your last name, then let's go to content types, create a new relationship between the two content types. All right, so I'm going to click on content types, click on the little arrow, the little button action palette over here, and I'm going to add a new relationship. Okay, everybody see where I am? I'm in content types. Click the action palette, add new relationship. Once you click add new relationship, you can choose a parent and a child. The parent is going to be the movie. So I'm going to type my name, Dean, and it'll find DNG Movies and DNG Cast. This is where you got to ask yourself which one comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Well, in this case, it's movies, and the movie should be first in the, if you're going to start a new project, you're a producer, you want to start up a new movie, maybe you would have the, the movie information, but you don't know which actors or actresses that you're going to select yet, right? Makes sense. So the movie would come first. If you don't have a project for the actors and actresses, why would you hire them on? And then here on the child, I'm going to type in my name again, and I'm going to choose the cast. So movies to cast, cast is the child-related content. And here, I would definitely choose not one to many, because then once the actor or actress was in one movie, they wouldn't be able to relate to any, be related to any others. That would end their career pretty short. So we'll have a many to many. And I would not make the parent required or the child required, because I would probably want to import a bunch of cast and import a bunch of movies, and I wouldn't want it required that I must marry them the second that I try to import them or anything like that. So I'd probably keep this one pretty loose, although if this was employee and department, I would definitely say the department is required if I'm going to enter an employee. Otherwise, where do they get a paycheck from? Right, so sometimes relationships are very necessary and required. This one seems pretty loose, so I'll leave it loose. And I've saved the relationship between the DNG Movies and DNG Cast. Now we need to actually relate some content to each other. But before we do that, we're going to do something to make adding the relationships a little easier. And that's called a relationships field that we're going to add to our cast content type. Okay, so open up your cast content type again. And in addition to first name, last name, we're going to add a new field called a relationships field. Okay, so I just come down here underneath category and tag and relationships field. And here I'll just name it related content, even though it really doesn't matter. It's not going to show up.
Sorry, can you just show us how to get to relationships thing?
All right, are we all
out for a second?
Okay, are we all here on the cast content type?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you get here to your cast content type, which is just got to go to content types and open up your cast, then you add new field on the right hand side, and then you click the drop down arrow and you choose relationships field, category tag relationships field, and then name it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it related content. All of your relationships will show up underneath this one field, even if you have 10 different relationships between 10 different content types. Now, what does that do whenever we go to contribute content? Let's see that by clicking on content search. Okay. Clicking on content search, it's asking for a new cast member. I'm going to add Natalie Portman, right? And so I'm going to add new content. Here's a first name, last name, and the relationships field. So add in here first name, last name. And then I'm going to click on the relate button over here to the right. Not the drop down arrow, but the actual button. Whenever I do that, it says, let's search for the movie using the movie's filterable fields. So I've got on my movies, I've got title, I got URL title, I got all of these things I'd be able to filter by. I'm just going to click search so that I see the movies that are already in the system. And it gives me Annihilation and Black Panther. And she is in this movie, not the other one. Although if she was in multiple movies that I already have in the DB, I could just checkbox them all at the same time and relate them. Okay. And once I've found that proper movie that she should be related to, I click relate, and there it is. And it shows me, and it highlights the English version of the movie content saying that she is related to the English version of my movie. I could create Spanish movie content as well and relate her to both, etc., etc. If I relate it again, because it does allow many to many if she was in Black Panther. If she was in Black Panther as well, then I could relate her to both movies because I had that many to many allowed. If she's not in Black Panther, I want to remove this relationship. I just go and click on the trash can there, and it doesn't delete Black Panther. It just removes the relationship between Natalie Portman and Black Panther, right? Click Save and Publish on your actor or actress. And then at least relate one other actor or actress from your other movie. So I'm going to pick Chadwick Boseman here. I'm going to add new content. And I'm going to relate him by just clicking on search, choosing the right movie, relate him to that movie. And save and publish. And that's what a relationships field looks like on a content type. And if I had other related content types to this cast content type, they would, all the relationships to all of the content types would show up here, and that is very common for a content type to have multiple relationships. Now I added a relationships field to the cast content type, but what does this look like from the movies side? And let me maybe add one more. I'll add Lupita Nyong'o here as well to Black Panther, so we can see multiple actors and actresses. Relate, search Black Panther as well. Relate, save and publish. And now I'm going to switch. Please look at your, I'm going to just type in Dean. And look at your movies. So here I've got Annihilation and Black Panther. If I click on Black Panther, I don't see my related content here because my movie content type does not have a relationships field. But notice the relationships are still here, even though I don't have a relationships field. If there is an existing relationship, but you don't have a relationships field, then the relationships will be abstracted to a tab. You click on the relationships, and there is Chadwick Boseman and Lupita Nyong'o, right? and I can manage the relationships between the movie and all of the actors and actresses here. Now, from the parent related content type, let me repeat that. From the parent related content type, you can also add new children right from the parent content type. So I can relate new content. It says, hey, if you've made changes to your movie attributes, you need to save before you go adding a actor or cast content type. That's okay. I didn't make any changes to my movie. I'm just going to click OK. I'm going to go straight into the cast content type. I'll add another actor, actress. I'll do Michael B. Jordan. I'll relate. Oh, I don't even need to because I've done it from the parent content type. It automatically save and publish, and it automatically, since I'm adding from the movie content type, it brings me back to the movie content type, lock for editing, save and publish. And now I've got 3 different actors or actresses related to the Black Panther there. Okay. Now we've covered all 3 kind of taxonomy and data aggregation methodologies. And of course, there is in our documentation, just hang up on that and turn this off. So pull related. There's pulling and displaying related content, and you use a tool that we'll use in the web developer course called .content.pullRelated. There is pull by categories. Pulling categories. So it tells you how to do all of that, and it gives you code examples of how to pull by all those taxonomies, and and we'll get to that in the web developer course. This is just kind of the using all the back-end features and setting everything up so that then you can dynamically extract your content using the web developer. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and now move on in our content architect to the site search. So if you could go to DevTools and Site Search, let's go ahead and create a new indexed search. Okay. What we are going to do, and we'll go ahead and finish up here real quick. We're almost done. I would like you to go to DevTools and Site Search. You can collapse the other fields here. DevTools and Site Search. And I want you to create a brand new site search index. And I want you to call this, I don't know, I'm going to call it Dean's Movies. Okay. Here you can break down your site search index into different shards. I think of shards like RAID on a server, that you have like maybe 5 different hard drives on a server or something like that, and you're actually distributing your files so they can save to the different shards or the different drives at the same time, and then retrieve from all the drives at the same time and do multifaceted read and write. And it just makes everything saving and retrieving faster. That's shards in Elasticsearch. And if you did a search for Elasticsearch shards, like shards in a crystal, then it's not our technology, but theirs, and how many shards should I have in my Elasticsearch cluster, and then there's a huge big, a lot of reading to determine the optimization for how much content that you have and stuff like that. 2 is fine for us in a small use case. Your system admin would be the one kind of who in their training should be determining shard size. Okay, back here. And now everybody's got their own index. Okay, and then we're going to say that we only want to include the path to our own particular portion of the site in there. Now, before we do that, you guys hands off the keyboard for 1 second, and I'm going to show you how it works so that we aren't all, as the same user, trying to run the same process at the same time. Otherwise, we're going to have collisions. Okay, so hold on. Let you run your site search later. Let me run one for the entire site. If we right now go to this domain in maybe an incognito window so we're not logged in, and I hit this, and I search for Black Panther, there's the one that's published right now. Yeah, you can't search for content that's not published yet. So if I search for Black Panther, and I search, it should show nothing, which is what I expected. But we're going to search in just a second, and it will give me results. But I have to create an index, site search index first. So I'm going to create the default one. Now, if you're going to run a job to actually run the index, you got to go to the job scheduler. I'm going to say I'm going to run it right now, and I'm going to search which site is going to be site search index. I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to create a new index and make it default. So I'm just going to do a whole site search right now, and I'm going to do it in English, and I'm going to include all paths. So I run it. Please don't run anything right now, or you'll collide against my process since you're the same user. Every 6 seconds, it should give me an update on the progress if I don't do anything. There you go. It's running. It's at 59%. 82. Almost done. Okay, so it finished. If I look under my indices, I can see that there's 777 pieces of content in that site search index. And this is whenever it was created. If I searched that site search index, which you can see is default, and I've got Harry's and Dean's and ones we haven't actually done yet, I could put in Panther and search, and it does give me pages. And if I go back to that, there we go. If I go back to this front end search, let me refresh, and now I'm finding Black Panther multiple times. Okay, and this is even a full text based. So if I had a PowerPoint presentation that was here, it would actually find it inside the text of the PowerPoint. There is an example here, Johnson. I click search, and it finds inside the central bank's PDF, it finds the line inside the PDF that says Hugh Johnson. So it's full text based indexation. So it's very powerful and very cool. I love Elasticsearch. Anyway, but what if we only want it just like we do for my dev wiki or my documentation site or my code share? I want them to all have separate indexes, and the documentation I only want, categories. I only want to see docs, pulling. And then whenever I go to code share and I do the same thing, I only want code share pieces that give me pieces of code that have to do with pulling categories or showing categories or something, or tools with categories, something like that. So how do you do that? Well, here underneath your own index. So now I want you to go to your own index, and here we have to be careful, and we have to do it one at a time. So we're going to actually allow only Adam. You're going to be our guinea pig. So Adam, I want you to do this. I want you to go to Job Scheduler. Okay. Click Now. And I want you to do demo.cms.com, click Add Site, and then instead of make new index and make it the default index, I want you to choose Adam C Movies. I'm not going to run it. I'm going to let you run it. Okay. And then choose English. And then the path to include, we're going to change. If you look at the hint, it says, only include like the / and then the root and then / and then maybe a star for wildcard after that. You can comma separate. So your correct path would be, I'm going to just right click and open up in a new tab. Your path would be, /training /Adam, right? So then I would do, your filter should look /training /Adam, and then maybe / and a star, right? Yeah. And then you want to index only things that are inside of there. So you'd take that, put that here, include only, or you could exclude a bunch of paths, and then you can comma separate and include others and blah, blah, blah. All right, and then Adam, I'd like you to execute that on your own, and nobody else, please execute, or you'll ruin Adam's indexation. Don't be funny. If you think that would be cool, and here's Adam's running. Very good. Okay, so it already indexed. So now we would have to change the code on the front end page to search his index, but there is a searcher here that we can simulate it, and I can go to Adam C Movies, and then I can search for, I don't know what movies he put. Let me see. If you go to browser and I go to Adam and I go to index. Okay, so movie detail, Grandma's Boy. So I could even do just boy in here on the back end and search.
You've got the wrong worker. It's just Adam Movies, not Adam C. There's 2 Adams in the room.
Oh, did not realize that. There we go. Now it's spawned. So yeah, shows that it was working. Okay. So if we actually redirected our site search in the header of our templates to, instead of querying the default, it actually queried Adam C, then we could make our own site search that searches just that index. So that's Elasticsearch. Much more powerful than anything you can do in Velocity. You cannot do full text, indexation, full text search in Velocity. Certainly, I don't even know how you would go about programming that, but imagine you could build some sort of special tool or something, but it would be hard. And very, very fast and optimized, obviously, on the search using Elasticsearch and leveraging their engine. Any questions about site search?
Yeah, we're all good. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to leave CMS maintenance for tomorrow because it's a little dry and you don't want to finish up the end of the day with dry. Let's just do host variables, and it's also very quick. It's just kind of like I show you and you don't do any hands-on. And let's finish up with hosts. Okay, and this gives you the ability to do a little tiny bit of code on your page. I'm going to show you, let's just say for this host, let's say for your website, you needed to have special host properties. Let's just say, in addition to your Google Map key, your Google Analytics key, your add this, whatever those keys, let's say you wanted e-commerce on your website. Some special key that you needed, and let's say you were managing 10 different hosts, they all had e-commerce. You would need a different e-commerce shopping cart key for whatever your shopping cart you're hooking up with on each of those 10 different hosts. So if they were independent. So how do you do that? Because there's no way, if I'm editing the host, I don't see any way to add that new property. Because obviously you got to change the host content type to add a new field like that. Or if you want on each of your hosts to have a different Facebook or something like that, a link or whatever. So I'm going to go to regular content type, and then I'm going to type host and click search. And there's the host content type. So here on the host content type, we see map, Google Analytics, add this. Well, if I wanted to add, let's see, I'm just going to add text. If I wanted to add, I don't know, authorize.net. So I will just show in lists, user searchable, save. Let's say I wanted to add Facebook links for all of my hosts. Text, Facebook. Maybe I better capitalize that. And okay. Now the second I've added that, then I can go to my site browser, edit my host, and then I can add those things. So here I'm going to do 111.222.333.44555, and my Facebook will be / .cms / I don't know. And whatever. And I'll save and activate. Now, how would I, in a template, get at those properties, right? Or anywhere in my code. Now, I'm not going to go to the template. I'm just going to do it right inside of my page, and I'd like you to do the same thing. Okay. Let's go ahead and add. Let's just go to the index page. Let's go to the index page where we have our training message or whatever. And we will add, just to show you can add to any container, a widget. Okay. So go to your index page, or any page that you've created. Click on Add Content and Add Widget, and we're going to do a little velocity code. That's just a couple parameters. Now, whenever you add a new widget, you can add all sorts of widgets, and we're going to get to those later on. But right now, we're going to do what's called a simple widget, which will allow us just to drop a blob of code right on a page. Okay. So once again, add content, add widget, simple widget, choose it, and then we're going to click Create New Simple Widget. Okay. Create New Simple Widget. And then it just gives us a code blob here. So I'm going to go Dean's host property pull. And then let's just type a tiny bit of code here. So this will, we want to get the host name. We want to get the Facebook link. We want to get the shopping cart key. And maybe Google Analytics. Okay. So then all I have to do in velocity variables always start off with a $. And then these are all going to come from the host properties. And if we look here and we go to documentation and we type in host proper, actually reserved words. Built-in variables and reserved words, and one of those is host. Okay. One of those reserved words is host. You can see the rest of them here. There's a reserved words list. And so we can do host dot host, and it's camel-cased name. Now, how do I know that? Well, I can actually go to, once again, the types and tags, content types, go to host, and here it is right here, right? Host name. And for the new fields that I added, it's Google Analytics, add this, authorized net, Facebook, right? And it tells you exactly what velocity variables to use. So for the rest, we can just copy that host, and we can do host.facebook. Here for the shopping cart key, that would be host.authorize net. And then this one would be Google Analytics. And then maybe we want to put a BR at the end of them. Not a BRE. Sounds like some sort of weird ration. Okay. And so I'll just paste that to you. I just sent that to everybody. And if we save and publish, right, then we get all of those properties, right? So you can do that. Now, this one widget would work if I had 1 million hosts, right? As long as those 1 million hosts all had those same properties. So I could make one template that rules them all, or one VTL that's called inside of my templates up in my header, right? And pull them all hidden up at the top or whatever. We have many, many different multi-tenant sites that are pulling the same variables across all of their hosts. They have thousands of hosts, and they have that one VTL file which is pulling that reusable code across all of the other sites, pulling the same attributes from all the sites, and doing kind of a load up right whenever you hit any of the pages on any of those sites. It loads up those variables using the host content. For HCA, which has got about over 1,000 hospitals all on their physician pulls, their everything. It's all the one set of ETL files that pulls host properties, pulls everything except like the CSS is local, the styling is local, everything except the skin files, that changes the look and feel of the website is reusable. So they have one main host, and I'll show you in Web Developer how you can actually pull a VTL file or parse a VTL file from another host entirely. And then they have one host. It's got all their VTL files that are reusable. And then on their local sites, they only have some just local skinning CSS VTLs. And they copy hospital, change the skin files, and they've got a new hospital deployed. I think they did 25 new websites a week, new hospitals a week on deployment. Whenever they were doing their original transition. They have huge teams, obviously, but they were just cranking out the new versions of websites once they had those main files so they could just keep reusing over and over again. And we have a copy host feature. Okay. Any questions about host properties?
No, we're all good.
Okay. And we'll close up by just showing you if I wanted to copy the complete demo.dotcms.com, I could go down here to System and Sites. This is where you're managing all your hosts. I could add a site, and I can start with a blank site, or I can copy an existing site, which is what they do. Click Next, and then I can either copy the complete site, or I can just say, no, I don't want the whole site. I don't want the content or the content on the site. I only want the templates, the folders, the site variables, and the menu links. And then I just click Next, and then I name, the new clone site, and then, define what other keywords, Google Analytics, add this, authorize.net, Facebook, and I save and activate, and then it'll copy over with these new host properties. It'll copy over just the content that I've selected from the other hosts. So that could be just your reusable files or something like that, or the links to those files that exist on another site. Okay, so we do have full site copy capability built in. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and have, quick if there's any other questions left, and otherwise we're going to go ahead and close out here for the day.
No, we're all good here. Good.
Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful, and we'll go ahead and... Sure.
Sorry, can we just do a quick summary of everything we've covered today, and then we can wrap up tomorrow? Sorry.
That's fine. So we did the back end overview, which is basically a basic explanation of all our features. We showed how to create file content types, and we looked at the landing page versus the regular page asset content type, and showed you how you can actually create new page content types. We briefly covered menu links. We'll do a little bit more. Menu links. We created menu links to a PDF. And vanity URLs, we only did a cursory coverage. We'll create new vanity URLs tomorrow. We did brand new content types. We went ahead and did our URL map, but we haven't dynamically used it yet. We did publish and expire fields, and went ahead and showed how you can use those in the time machine. We created new categories and use the genre category on our movie content. We added a tag field and showed how tags are more for content publishers to manage, but there is a main tag and category manager. So you can import import categories, remove tags if you edit them. We related the movie content type and the cast content type, so you can show data aggregation. Later on in Web Developer, we'll show how to pull those by relationship. We covered the time machine and looked at the time-sensitive content appearing and disappearing in the future and the past. We also showed the snapshot of the static site. We did a site search that showed how to either index your entire site or just a portion of a site with Adam's portion. We're skipping over CMS maintenance to the beginning of tomorrow's session, and we just did the host variables and the copy host coverage. Right?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Tomorrow we'll pick up with templates and containers in more detail. Look at the advanced template, how to edit the advanced template, which is all code-based. Look at forms, push publishing, establishing a customized workflow scheme, automatically checking broken links either from the workflow scheme or setting up an automated check of all content in the system. And we'll look at internationalization and adding languages so that you can add content in any language. All right, we will pick up tomorrow, unless I'm mistaken, at the same exact time we started up today using the same exact link. Okay?
Cool. Great. Cheers. Thank you.
All right, take care. Have a nice night.
Yes, Andrew. Have a good
Bye-bye.
day. Thank you.